Namaste everybody. Welcome to the Sundays with Sattva program. Today we are delighted to have with us my sister Renuka Vijairaghavan. Renuka has an abiding interest in all things natural. Okay, she has been a practitioner and campaigner for several decades in the areas of food, healing, grooming, clothing, housing and maintenance. So Renuka Akka has a degree in nutrition as well as another degree in English. So we are delighted to hear not only her speech, but also her insights into food and nutrition. She innovates and improvises to use natural material for all kinds of chemical-laden products, thus motivating actionable, sustainable living practices in youth, adapting ancient knowledge to modern times. She has been spreading awareness through diverse workshops and awareness sessions to a cross-section of society, such as schools, hospitals, corporates, such as Infosys, Eaton, and other interested groups. She is a founder member at the Institute of Ancient Philosophy, and she has roped me into that as well, working in the area of environment and sustainability. She conducts sessions for Cummins College, Ecological Society, frontline NGOs like Jeevit Nadi, and several other groups. Presented papers at international forums, and her interests include reading, writing, and painting. She has been curating a literature club in Pune for the past 2 decades. She lives in a home built with sustainability in mind and grows plants that can nurture, heal, groom, clean, and above all, delight. So we are delighted to have Renuka Akka with us. I'm going to hand it over to you. Renuka Akka, you start telling us your story and I'll start your presentation whenever you're ready. All right? Go for it.
Yes.
Delighted to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for that generous introduction. Thank you all, Team Sattva, to having given me this opportunity. And thanks all for finding the time in your busy schedules to be here. And thanks, Vikramji, to make me a part of your noble endeavor. I would also like to thank my gurus for their contribution and my friends for their constant support. Can we have the opening slide, Vikramji, please?
All right. I'm sharing my screen here.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the PowerPoint for Renuka Akka and she's going to speak. So that will be easy on everybody. All right, go ahead. Renuka Akka, you are on.
Thank you. Being a toxin-free inside out is very important, especially in today's day and age. Sadly, it is very often ignored. Tonight, we are going to dwell briefly upon certain possibilities where these pollutants creep in from. How do we be wary of them? How can we keep them at the door? And the way forward, and most importantly, how it is such a spiritual exercise and practicing which we can avoid a lot of health conditions, even serious health conditions. The next one, please. Thanks for the assistance, Vikramji.
You are
I'm
most
sorry
welcome.
to put you.
No. This is perfect. I'm delighted to do this for you so that you can be completely free and unencumbered so that you can talk about what you want to talk about. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. The common adage goes, we are what we eat, but we are also what we apply on ourselves. We are also what we surround ourselves with. We are also what we cohabit. Like even our bodies, we have got so many microorganisms whom we have to look after. Otherwise, we ourselves will not be very well. This is a very well accepted and researched area today. We are, of course, the water that we drink. The quality of the water is so important. And the fire that we ignite, whether it is inside our belly or outside. And the air we breathe. The space we occupy, the sounds around us. Sound pollution today is a common term. And today, the waves that we have to escape from 2G, we have gone on to 3 and 4, and we are heading towards 5G. So this Pancha Mahabhuta is precisely what our body is made up of. And according to our scriptures, even our minds are made up of sukshma particles of Panchamahabhuta. So to be pure, we have to try and keep these things pure. The next one, please. Oh, yes. These Pancha Mahabhutas, we have played around the technology this last decade. I would like to call it the kaleidoscope effect because it is so fascinating. We are into it. And we are almost playing God. We can create a human being outside of the womb. We can grow enormous quantities of food for all of us, such a big population, world population. And yes, we can annihilate. We can annihilate tracts of forest, huge creatures, microorganisms, you name it. And we can modify the face of the earth. Down to a gene, we can modify things. So when we were at this and fascinatedly looking into the kaleidoscope, and suddenly when we take our eyes off from there, we are in a sea of plastic, and climate change is looming large. So however did we land here? How could we have been blind and deaf to these callings? I feel it is totally the economics driven part of it that has led us here. And we are goaded into buying, we are goaded into selling. Look at the advertisements. Back in the days in school, when I learned that there's a dog whistle, and when you blow it, you can't hear it, but the dog will come running. I said, how manipulative, is this a right thing to do? And lo and behold, down the line, we are the dogs. Ting, 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 we have to run to the TV. This is heard 150 meters away, they have found out. So there's a set of people sitting there and devising ways to lure us into buying, and people who want to sell are engaging here. To the extent they go deep into our psychology. This Surf Excel advertisement in India way back, they took days to figure out the size of the bindi of this Lalita ji who featured there. And today, if you observe, so deep into our psychology, they play that today toxic cleaners for the bathroom smells of baby products. So the association, our olfactory, our sense of smell is so strong of recall that we recall innocence, we recall purity. So this is the extent to which they are going. So how do we counter it? So we cannot escape it. We cannot go and live in a cave and escape it all. So we have to devise little ways like disconnecting the advertisement from the product and be the boss and decide what we want to buy. So, and here we are putting so many chemicals out there. Is there anyone accountable for this? Saying, oh, this is okay, this is not. World over, there is no specific accountability. And the part about what happens when these chemicals come together, either it is water or air, can any engineer or any scientist figure out the exact reactions and what it is going to happen? What happens when they deteriorate? Does anyone know? And to the extent that one artificial fragrance can contain up to 5,000 chemicals. So just imagine what we are throwing out into the air, into our waters. And to top it, there are something like forever chemicals, they're calling it, like things from non-stick cookware and things, they give out fumes that will never, if it gets into the air or water, it will never degrade. It is going to remain like that forever. And do we have the power to recall? Okay, I have thrown it there now, I'm going to take it back. Is it ever possible? We know and we have to acknowledge that it is not possible. Even the very pretty looking waters in any part of the world is very polluted, and no sewage treatment plant in the world can bring out everything, except a few plant-based ones may partially deal with it. And even in developed countries, the sludge is being carted and put somewhere without consent. And a lot of such things are happening. And the aware ones today, we talk about carbon footprint. Yes, it is very important. There is trading there, all kinds of things. But what about aluminum footprint? What about the footprint of plastic? Today, it is said that it could have entered our circulation. So where are we heading? The next one, if you don't mind. Will we be able to deal with all this? We do not want to get into the blame game as to who did it. And I think we are all collectively responsible. Have we all not bought things that are so inexpensive? Do we think about some labor in some other part of the world who's toiling with very small wages to make this product available to us? And do we encourage our children to take up careers which can improve the ecology of the world? We are all in it together. It's a collective consciousness that has to rise to sort these problems. And of course, it's common knowledge that minimalism is the way forward. But very few people can talk about it. We are scared to talk about it. Even spiritual leaders may passingly suggest it, but directly, it's not very popular to be talking about this. But it is not so bleak all the way. I don't believe that. So I feel it in my bones, a kind of new awakening that the younger generation especially is much more aware than what we were or we are. So there is always hope. Could we have the next one, please? Thank you. The way forward, we have to find a solution to whatever we face. And I feel it is owning responsibility. The earth is so resilient, like Bhuma Devi is said to be the epitome of forbearance. So also our body is also super efficient and it can take a lot of abuse. But how far and why? This is not the proper way to go, is everyone will agree about it. I think we need to treat ourselves and our earth with a little more respect and kindness. But where do we begin? Because even in the morning when we start our day, we start with a mouthful of chemicals. Toothpaste contains a lot of chemicals. So where shall we go? How do we go about this? The next one, please. I feel a change in mindset has to happen, and it is happening. For example, soaps. We feel because of the movies, I don't know what, Marilyn Monroe's bathing tub, or what was it, that we firmly believe that unless something lathers, we cannot clean ourselves. So I think we have to be firm about what we will not put in our mouth, I will not put on my body. This can be the bottom line. And see, a simple experiment, if we rub a piece of strong smelling substance like garlic on our foot and leave the room and go some other place, and in a few minutes you smell it in your nose. So it is circulating, and but we are so, callously unaware or blind to it. Of course, what we are about to see, what we can do, will take a little bit of effort, but the payoff will be huge. Just to see how we are taken for a ride and how we can make a difference, we are going to look at one product. We all feel eyes are the most important part of our whole body. And can you believe compounds found in antifreeze and brake fluid could be used in eye products? eyeliner or mascaras. And carbon black, which is carcinogenic and which can cause organ system toxicity, is used there. Etheronamine compounds, it can be contaminated with cancer-causing nitrosamines. They are there. I don't say all the products will have all of these things. It will be a bouquet, a different bouquet with each product. And then there is BAK, benzalkonium chloride. This dissolves the lipid, the fat in the eye, and then all the other things can penetrate easily. And there could be surfactants, which is exactly what is found in Surf Excel or any other detergent. And it could be formaldehyde or formaldehyde releasing compounds in it, used to preserve dead bodies. It is known to cause blood cancer. And then parabens, which are a hormone function disruptor, they could mimic our hormones and cause breast cancer or disorders of the reproductive system. It is quite disturbing how and when all these things sneaked in. But let us look at an alternative here. See, these things are extremely easy to make once you have the stuff at home. It is much easier than most of the cooking we do. Now we're going to talk about one eyeliner. It's a product which can play around with the consistency. You could use it like an eyeliner or a mascara or a kajal. It is almond oil. Needs no introduction. We can praise the sky high. And then there is beeswax, which locks the moisture and plumpens up our fat cells around any part of the body. It is used, actually, these things can be eaten, edible, and they can be used for conditions like eczema, etc. Kaolin clay, back in the days, there used to be products for anti-diarrheal with kaolin clay for children. So that is edible, and you can wash your hair, and in fact, it pulls out impurities from the pores. Soot, we're forming it at home with maca. It's a very fantastic herb, and with these properties, it can delay the onset of cataract and other eye diseases. We could use vitamin E as a preservative, as also lavender oil. It's like having a spa for your eyes every day whenever you use these products. Yeah, it may not run like the advertisements, and you may need to use your own artist brush to apply, but it is worthwhile. And if we think there are those approving agencies who are looking after us, FDA and stuff, these are subpar organizations who do not look at everything in any product. It could be the main ingredients are often ignored. For example, in an Ayurvedic hair oil, there is more than 50% of mineral oil. And this is a branded Ayurvedic product. And it contains all kinds of artificial things also. So if we cannot depend on somebody else to be protecting us. And they look more into the additives like coloring agents and preservatives, and that also is coded. So, so we cannot depend on them to protect us, certainly. And about information in public domain, most places they'll tell you this small quantity is okay. It's fine to use this. This is what you will hear. You will have to look for what happens to it, and we're going to deal with this a little more about the volume in the coming slides. And the previous one, please, Vikramji. Yeah, see, we cannot take that holier than thou attitude, sit on an ivory tower, I don't apply anything, that's apply only coconut oil. It's not possible. There are stages in life. And it's one's choice. So we cannot deny anybody of anything. So, but we can devise products. You name a product and it is possible to be devised without these chemicals. And how did they ever take such liberties with us? Did they tell you, I'm putting this here? And most often we are ignorant. And what we are about to do is creative fun. It's a fun activity which you can create. There may be hundreds of products and signature products and customize, but this is your own product which you are going to make for yourself or a loved one, and you know their choices. So this is one of a kind product that we're going to make. And it is not just for women. We can make shaving cream or any deodorants, anything is possible. In fact, our customs are such, there are fragrances devised by the Siddha Purushas, which can send you deep into meditation. Javad, to name of one, where you apply, you will remain fresh throughout the day. And I object to the word deodorant. Why do they imagine that we are stinking and that we have to deodorize ourselves? That itself is questionable. And now, so far, we've briefly dealt with what we're going to apply on ourselves. And in the future slides, let's look at our indoor air quality. Last 2 years, we have spent a lot of time indoors. The next one, please. Oh, yes. Even the gas that we use to cook can pollute our indoor air.
Renuka, are you there? I think her video and audio froze for a minute. Anybody, if you have any questions, by all means, chat in the chat box. You can type your question. Let me see if I can invite you to unmute yourself. If you have any questions so far, maybe you can unmute yourself, turn your video on, and ask the question for Renuka. Anybody has any questions? So until she comes back, let me tell you a bit about Sattva. What we do as a part of the Sattva program is let me point my video for you. So I hope you can see my video here. Okay, Renuka, are you back? You have to unmute yourself, please.
Can I have the slides, Vikramji?
Yes, we can have the slides. Our brother Anup has asked, how can lavender oil be used for better eyes? Do you have any response to that?
Yes. Lavender, see, to use lavender oil in a product, we have to choose according to which area of the body we are looking at. If it is the eyes, we cannot use something that could be stinging, like, say, a tea tree oil. Lavender oil will be a better choice here. Yeah. May I go ahead, please?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
The screen is up.
Yes, it is. Also incense sticks, which we worship with or use for other purposes, if they are artificial with a bamboo center, yeah, avoid.
Just one sec, Renuka, I muted you, so why don't you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Sorry
yes.
about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm there. So air purifier is a misnomer. It is very, very polluting. So best avoided, whether it is the gel form or the spray, both ways a no-no. And Teflon, when you heat it indoors, it could give out fumes. And particle boards beyond a certain temperature, they give out fumes. So artificial, like false roofing and unnecessary use of particle boards are best avoided. There are many other solutions if we have the inclination. It is quite possible. So going on to the next, Vikramji. Yes, if we pay attention to the other stuff at home, carpet adhesives, especially in places where we cannot open the window, this is going to remain hanging in the air for a very long time. And when we break a bulb, it's best that we evacuate because they contain certain inert gases in them, and air the room and come back. And disposal also is a big question. There are places in Pune today where we can responsibly dispose of bulbs. And cleaning agents and sprays are so toxic that two kinds of cleaning agents were mixed and used, and this lady fell down unconscious in the bathroom, the newspaper said. So it's important to be extremely careful about cleaning sprays, because we have sprays for glass, for this surface, that surface, different ones. So we have to look in there. And insect sprays and pest control, we see a cockroach and then we bring out a bazooka. The strongest of chemicals are used there, to the extent that one of my friends, each time she does a pest control at home, she has to be admitted to hospital. Even dry cleaned clothes, it is best we leave it in the garage or someplace else till it detoxifies to a certain extent before bringing it in. And reading labels, here it's so tricky. They make it so difficult for you. They will have the finest of fine prints on some shiny paper, and everything difficult. It'll make it so difficult to do it. And the question is, when they say paraben free, okay, it's paraben free, but what is in it? So these are tricks which we have to, you say, are you pulling this off on me? Okay. And by and by, when you start reading labels, whether it is food or cosmetics or whatever, you begin to smell, that dead rat there. So it's a question of practice, and we can all do it. And many people feel we do not have many big companies feel we do not have the intelligence to read their labels. There is no composition label at all. This is extremely unethical, not just unethical, it's illegal, but this goes on. And this phenomenon called greenwashing, where they will say something and something else will be there, it is extremely common. You just have to go to a shop window and you will find many products of this kind. And so what do we do? How do we clean? So these are things that I'm actually following at home. We could use Rita, and shikeka, soap nut and soap pod. And there are many leaves that have been used for centuries in India. This Albizia amara has been used in India. It's called Arappu in Tamil. And there are, all over the world, there are leaves and roots rich in saponin, which can be used for cleaning. I tried recently washing clothes with papaya leaves, and it does work. So we have to experiment. Together we can pull off a lot. We can explore a lot. This is virgin area. Very little exploration has gone in here. So I request all of you to try various things. And for friends who are in other parts of the world, we try to tell them, go around on a trek or something, look at the local flora. There are people who will be showing you around, and learn about that, so that we do not have to fly everything from India or Africa to meet our needs. It is quite possible, and we can help identifying the qualities even of plants that are very similar to the ones found here, which are popular according to Ayurveda. So this is a very big area which we have to explore together. And then common things like, baking soda and vinegar. And this bioenzyme is a fantastic thing which we make out of waste. I use this even in my washing machine. So I have done the plumbing from the washing machine onto the plants. I need not worry about the plants because there is no detergent there at all. So there are many, many possibilities which we can explore together. And these last 2 years, virus, we have heard so much about it. And there's a deep connection between, chemical products and the virus. On to the next one, please. Yeah. When a creature is subjected to extreme chemical stress, and then packed like sardines in inhuman fashion, and then when it faces the fear of death at the time of butchering, it gives out we all know that it gives off certain substances which, when they attach to the human body, they form these viruses. So from our homes, we could be, the extent to which we can be contributing is huge. And about all these creatures that surround us, they are broad indicators about, sorry, I would like to say, tell you some, without reading labels, how you go about deciding what to buy. You know, in one line, if they say it contains vapors that may be harmful, avoid it. Avoid contact with ice, no. Flammable product, no. And petroleum based, why not go there? Keep away from children, keep away from yourselves also. And then danger or poison, definitely not. This most probably will be in pesticides and such stuff. And have ingredients, active ingredients means they'll give out chlorine or ammonia or something. So best avoided. So can we have a short break for question time, following which I would like a few words about healing herbs and how we go about these issues. Yes, please.
That will be great. So Renuka Akka, I'm going to tell in a couple of minutes what we do at Sattva, and then we will tie this up together at the end. So
Yes.
people might be wondering, how is this connected with Sattva? Sattva is a program where we share our experience about diet purification leading to mind purification to self-realization. That's the whole program, right? What do we call diet purification? Is diet only the food we eat? Is diet not what we consume otherwise? Diet to me means whatever we consume with all our five senses, five sense organs, as well as our mind. Whatever we consume, whether we consume it knowingly or unknowingly. So here you have been telling us about things that we consume unknowingly a lot of times. How are we going to protect ourselves from that? So we'll tie this up together towards the end. So if anybody else has any questions, let me see if you are allowed to unmute. I think you are allowed to unmute. So if you want to unmute yourself and maybe raise your hand, ask a question to Renuka Akka, just to break the monotony. We want it to be conversational rather than Renuka Akka preaching to all of us. Of course, I'm the choir. You know, Renuka Akka, you're preaching to the choir here as far as I'm concerned, because I agree with all of these things, and being an environmental engineer myself, I'm aware of these things. One thing I would like to comment is about the minimalism you said earlier. You see, we've been trained into thinking that when we engage with things, engage with people, consume things, consume people, which is called bhoga, okay, then we will become happy. That's the conditioning of our mind. That's not true. Our rishis tell us in Ishavasya Upanishad, that's my favorite mantra from the Upanishads. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyan jagat tyena tyaktena bhunjitha magradha kasya svidhanam. So this entire creation is pervaded by the divine. It's all completely full of the divine principle. We don't see the divine principle, we see the world. Yesterday, I gave an example to somebody when I was talking to them. You see, this is a piece of paper. It's a back of the envelope, classic back of the envelope. On this envelope, there is a dot. So when I show you this, what will you see? Or what will you say? I'm seeing the dot. Of course, you are seeing the dot, but you're missing the paper. So this whole creation, we see the creation, but we completely ignore the divine principle. That's the basis on which this whole creation is superimposed. That's what we completely miss out. Well, we've had a break, but only I have talked. we need to have some other people also. If you have any questions, comments, by all means.
Yeah. Can I raise a question, please?
Please, Surendra ji, go ahead.
Yeah. Renuka,
if you can speak closer to your mic, then we can hear you better.
All right. In recent years, because of the presence of pets sometimes in my house, we have started, herbal floor
I'm unable
cleaning.
to hear you, Kaushik ji.
Yeah.
I'm unable.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Vaguely.
Acha. We have started using herbal floor cleaners
Uh-huh.
because of the presence of sometimes the pets coming. My daughter
Uh-huh.
brings her cats here.
Uh-huh.
But there is, although it is called herbal, there
Hmm.
is no measure of toxicity. Is there any where the labeling can show how toxic a product is?
Yes. Thing is, first of all, bioenzymes that I was talking about can be used for floor cleaning or any counter cleaning. And the products that you see in the market, the problem is, even if they mean well, they want to show their product as good. They don't want it to get spoiled even in 15 years. So as abundant precaution, they will put something or the other there. And if it is honestly declared, fantastic. Otherwise, so we can use salt to clean the floor. We can use essential oils, lemongrass oil, and a bioenzyme. There are so many ways in which we need not buy a product at all. But if you have to make sure it is, which is quite difficult. But there should be some like let's not get into the names. So my experience has been quite disappointing, to say the least. Yeah.
All right, Renuka, can we go back to the presentation maybe?
Yes,
And then
please.
we'll complete the presentation. After the presentation, there will be plenty of opportunity for you to ask questions.
Certainly.
So let's go back to the presentation. We were on the toxin, no, the virus page. So a virus is
Yes.
born.
Yes. The next one, please. So healing with herbs, we've been talking about pollution, plain vanilla pollution so far, but this pharma pollution is, it has a domino effect, in the sense when pharma industries manufacture during use and end use, all the time it can be polluting. And to the extent that today there is antibiotics in mother's milk. And the effect is we create drug resistant microorganisms. We hear about super bugs in hospitals and all. So our contribution by not or consuming pharma products to the minimum will go a long way in protecting our surroundings. And herbs can be very, very effective. And I have had some fantastic experiences here. And the germ theory, we have also believed in. It's not, it might, maybe a couple of centuries ago, during the Crimean War, it has come about, but we knew about it all along. We sensed it. We might not have seen through a microscope, but we knew also why Marco Polo wrote that in South India, each person had his own dishes to eat and drink. Why did we do it? Our daily consumables like, curds and rice will be kept separately, but ghee and pickle was kept separately in another area. Why was this done? When there was measles or smallpox, no one went visiting. We knew about it, we sensed it, but we didn't go about with the kind of animosity and aggression that we do now. Like the sign of a fever or suspected infection, we go to the holster. Antibiotics in India, at least, it is sold off the counter and unnecessarily prescribed. And I'm sure it is happening in many parts of the world for various reasons. And these are, after all, isolated compounds. A simple example of sugar, you strip it of all its minerals and everything, and then when we bleach it white and then consume it, it steals all the minerals, whatever it lost on the way, it wants it back. So this kind of side effects are bound to be there, whereas plants work with a pharmacodynamic synergy. They are also beings, we are also beings. Now, we are, in fact, in Ayurveda, you go and do a namaskar there and say, please, may I have some leaves? Tomorrow I'm coming to you. And that with that kind of reverence, and it's a give and take kind of a thing. And we plant another thing, we just don't uproot it and say, finish off with that. And all we have to do is be inhospitable hosts to microorganisms. Be extremely clean, keep your surroundings clean, mana shuddhi, atma shuddhi, body shuddhi, and then it is difficult for us to catch something huge. And even if it is there, it can be dealt with easily. And sadly, today, healthcare means hospitals. It is medical care. Even budget allocations work like this. It is not about wellness, about how to prevent things. That is not, and we top up our insurance policies. And the kind of money that goes there is phenomenal. I think it is time to redefine alternate medicine. We are not against anybody or anything. We want to wend our way slowly, carefully in this maze and find what is best for us, what is best for our society, what is best for our earth. And today, now here, we are not even touching upon contentious issues like vaccination, something. But what is the solution to all this? It is empowering to be dependent on your own garden for your own healing, is what I feel. The next one, please. And the solution, yes, is the education system. When I hear young children as young as 6 years old, I'm shocked and surprised at the acumen, what they're capable of. But they talk about things like paleontology. My mouth is open. But what are we contributing towards it? Are we talking about our history? What we can learn from there about our future? Are we showing them their mirror of their consumption pattern? What are you buying? What are we doing together? Are we telling them to be ecologically responsible and mindful? And sadly, about our surroundings in my schooling, I heard about thistle and bramble and mistletoe and hawthorn. But I had never heard about rui, people, or banyan. And now who is to blame? The education system has to be revamped drastically to be able to function as a sane society, is what I feel. The next one, please. And yes, it is possible, the Panchamahabhutas that we saw, it is possible to purify water at home. There are many ways of doing it. The air quality we can improve in many ways, as also the earth around us. To a certain extent, we can also escape from the space polluting things. And what we really have to do is expand our consciousness and be aware of what we are doing. For example, in many countries, people avoid mica in their products for the simple reason it is blood mica virtually, because young children get into small holes to mine mica in India. And adults cannot go into that such a small hole to mine it, and mechanically it's not possible. So can we become Atma Shuddhi and all this Shuddhi? Can we even talk about if we are applying the blood of, some young child? So, in today's day and age, we have to be more, we have the means to be aware, and that alibi of not knowing, we have to together eradicate it. Everyone should know everything. Awareness is the key, is what I feel. And we think about the fellow creatures are so important. Our capacity is also so huge that we think of preposterous and outlandish ideas like going to the Mars and settling there. There are talks about it. We have all heard about it. So why don't we do something to, compromise the ease of use? Everything cannot be easy. So why don't we lead a different kind of life here? Because these aggressions of chemicals and all these threats do not have a face. When there is a man with a mask shooting, we all are scared. But this is something that is surrounding you slowly and slowly. It doesn't have a face or a form. We have to, find for ourselves, think about these things, and every step of the way, and together we can do a lot, is what I feel. The next one, please. And there is a mistaken conception. Even some of my friends say, living sustainably, they think it's like living like a hermit or something, which is not at all so. It's a robust, fun life, exchanging ideas with like-minded people, working together, meeting real people, not virtually, really going and meeting people and having a lot of fun and laughter. So one should not feel that, yeah, it is a spiritual exercise, no doubt about that. And the people with regular aspirations, like everyone, we can all do it together because, dharma is a natural tendency amongst human beings. And when we think dharmic, we are bound to act like this. Till the British came along, we were looking at everything with gratitude and reverence. There were rules about you could go and bathe in the river, you can wash your clothes in the river, but you have to wring the clothes not into the river, but outside. Such minute details were there. But once the Kanpur tanneries came, they said, it's okay, just let it go into the river. That's how it began. It's not a blame game. So did we do anything better later? So, but still, this is how it came about. And the kind of, yes, to close your eyes and meditate, we do realize the results. But this kind of mindful living has tangible results. You are amongst your favorite things, your plants, your environment is much cleaner. So these are tangible results that you see is very encouraging. And in certain philosophies, it's not Pancha Mahabhuta. There are one less, space is not even considered. So Abrahamic religions, their thought process and the consumption pattern and the way of life and thinking is kind of different, but they are seeing it now. And now there's a new commandment saying, thou shall not pollute or despoil the earth. We have to appreciate these things that they have begun to think. So we have to take this forward together. There is no, good and bad, or they are behind or we are ahead. That is not the mindset we should have. The next one, please. Yeah, why do we think this kind of living is meditative or mindful or spiritual? Because we think about other creatures, what will happen to, you don't want to put rat poison out there. You think about the birds that are going to eat the dead rat. So we are thinking about others. So all the time you are thinking about how to, each one of us can do it, how to improvise. What can I do about this? How to innovate? So your thought process is somewhere there. So these are, and we all have to determine the point of no return. Like today, we can say, I'll not buy an iPhone every day and throw it here and throw it there. But we can draw the line, you see, I can't go without a phone. So, thinking about how far is it okay to go? This is a lot of thought that goes into it. And to maximize acquisitions, okay, I have this phone, can I fix it? Or any other thing, even the smallest of small things, whether I can fix it, what can I do about maximizing its life, and how can I repurpose it after that? And then it's so fascinating to read the scriptures and our history and take a tip or two from there. It is possible and very relevant, shockingly relevant. Many things are today also. And when we engage like this with our senses, we do not, like Vikramji said, hear, or you're not distracted with other things. It's all about what we watch, what we eat, and what we wear. There are so many factors to it. So in all the fronts, we improve. I mean, it's no judging, but then it's so comfortable actually, so to see. And, we seek out like-minded people and try and connect them for common good, for lokakshemam. Engage with scientists, very well qualified people, and some totally unlettered people can be a treasure trove of information, of knowledge. not information. And to conserve this native knowledge, how can I keep it for posterity? And to not be drained by the absurdities that go around us is difficult, but quite doable. And that is also a very meditative and mindful exercise. You cannot get carried away by emotion and say, I give up. No, that cannot happen. And how to influence people positively is an art. And there is no end to this learning process. How can I put it better so that I can convince him, convince her, this group? That is also a fun way of engaging your mind and engaging with other people. And we better do all these things is what I feel, because look at our pedigree, how we have lived through the centuries. We are virtually world leaders in eco-friendly living. So I think it's time to lead from the front and look at these things as an opportunity, not this has happened, that has happened. From this tipping point, I'm going to turn it around and, secure a better future for our, say, we budget money, we budget for so many things. Are we budgeting our toxicity? Today, I'm going to eat a pizza. I want to know what the world eats. I want to eat it. But what is the total amount of toxins that I've taken today? So this kind of thought process, if we go, I'm very confident we can all pull this off together and look forward to a much cleaner and purer and shuddha mind and environment. Thank you all.
That was a wonderful, wonderful speech. Thank you, Renuka Akka, very much for sharing your thoughts with us. See, what we do is we try to bring people like you on our platform who can share their work, share their experience, share their wisdom. And then we also try to tie that with what we are trying to do. As I said, Sattva is a program where we share our experience with diet purification, leading to mind purification, leading to self-realization. We need to understand how our relationship with our own bodies as well as the world is. We need to understand how to maintain it properly, how to maintain a harmony between our own being as well as what we see around us. Ultimately, we do realize that what we see around us is only a reflection of what we are. So if we have to fix the reflection, what do? We put the makeup on our own selves. So whatever change we wish to see in the world, we want to bring that change into ourselves first. So instead of trying to improve the world or blame the world, no. If we try to improve ourselves, each one of us, and we have control only over ourselves, we don't really have any control over anybody else. We have much more control over ourselves than on anybody else. So if we can try to work on that, that would be a great thing. So what I will do, Renuka Akka, is I'm going to try to take questions one by one. So I'll go into our chat box here. So the first question here was, there was a comment actually, vulture population has declined from 20 million in 1980 to merely 20,000 today in India. Wow, vulture population. See, vultures are the cleaning agents of the environment. So if there are dead bodies, dead organisms, then vultures will clean that up. So that's what it is. I don't know where the vultures have gone.
Diclofenac is to blame, and today Parsi community is thinking of cremating the dead bodies because they used to feed it to the birds, and it is not consumed because the population of vultures have gone down. So in the Parsi place, they're finding it very difficult, is what I have learned.
Oh.
And diclofenac in cattle, they use it for cattle extensively. There is no control. And when the dead cattle are consumed by these vultures, they die. Their eggs don't form properly. And there is a huge problem. And it's an important part of the chain which is broken there.
Right. So that comment was by Manish Nangaonkar, who has been a participant in our program. The other question you already taken, what that was by Anup Jaipurkar. How can lavender oil be used for better eyes? So we've already taken that. Then there is a comment here by Rajagopalan Purushottamam. If economic reasons created the current problem, Do you think there should be an economic impact for not paying heed to the environment at individual level? Could this bring about the change? So, did I say your question right? Or otherwise, Rajgopalanji, you can unmute yourself and ask your question better than I asked.
No, you've done a perfect job. That's it. I thank you very much.
You're most welcome. So, Renuka Akka, you
Yeah.
have any thoughts about this?
Puru is my brother. And yes, I think the focus has to shift from ecology, from economy to ecology, or at least they should go hand in hand. And I feel the at source, at manufacture itself, if we can have, these are things that only the policymakers can do, and there is a huge scope. They are over, by and large, they're so smart. If they take it upon themselves to curb this, they can, it can be done in no time. Now we are vying with one another to, about the economics. So if we can just think about ecology, there are 1,000 ways of doing it. Simple thing, lace packet in all over the Himalayas and any height. If they are directly fined for it, there are so from the manufacturer level to the refuse level, everywhere it is possible, is what I feel.
I'll make a brief comment on this, Renuka Akka. You see, even if people are penalized, unfortunately, the penalty isn't commensurate with the damage. That's the problem.
Yes.
So people are happy to pay the penalty. So somebody who is able to take an aeroplane ride from wherever they live up to the Himalayas, and then if for them the airplane ticket is going to be 10,000 rupees, then the Lay's packet, instead of 10 rupees, if they spend 50 rupees, it's okay for them. So
yes, mindset has to change. There's no doubt about that.
the other thing is,
And
I'll go back to that minimalism thing. See, in economics, the way I understand, or in economy, we always want to grow the economy, grow the economy, grow the economy. But at what cost? See, in economics, usually the elements that don't have any voice, they are the ones that get exploited. That's the problem. In fact, we exploit our environment, or we have exploited our environment to such an extent just to grow the economy. For what? By a growing economy, or if we have so much GDP, or if we have so many things with us, then we will be happy. That's what we have thought. Economics encourages us to consume, 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 consume. But by consumption, we don't become happy. By consumption, we may think that we are happy for a moment, but the law of diminishing returns, even in economics, says the same thing. So if you consume something the first time, it gives you a joy, but then after that, the same thing will give you lesser and lesser and lesser joy. That's what happens. Law of diminishing returns, they call it. So somebody who is an economist here who can explain better than I can, they can do this. I'm trying to simplify it for the layperson like me, because I'm not an economist. I just know that if I'm hungry, if I eat the first chapati, or I should not say chapati, first mango, because we don't eat chapatis here. We only eat natural food. All right. So if I eat the first mango, I feel great. If I eat the second mango, I also feel great because I can digest probably more than that. But then if I eat the 10th mango, then the 10th mango doesn't give me the same joy that the first mango did. Right? Law of diminishing return. And if I eat the 20th mango, I'll throw up. So the same thing that was giving me joy is now giving me misery. That is true with everything in this world. Every single thing in this world. So if we consume and if we keep consuming, will not give us joy. At the end, the same thing that was giving us joy will give us misery. That's the lesson from this entire thing. I'm going to go to the next question here. Manish Nangaonkar, most of the chemicals in day-to-day life have just been innovated just to solve problems without even understanding that what impact it will bring on people's lives who coexist with us. Yeah, that's true, Manish. That's a nice comment. I agree with you that Renuka Akka, you have any comments on
yeah,
this?
To add to the Johnson and Johnson, the baby products, Johnson and Johnson themselves, they're paying out huge amounts today, supposedly innocent and very pure products. What you are saying is absolutely correct. I couldn't agree more.
Wonderful. So there is another comment by Malini Ramamurthy. She is asking, can you share some links for making homemade organic products? Something like do-it-yourself products? Yes, I think you should talk to Renuka Akka. She'll give you all kinds of recipes, right?
Definitely, yes.
Is that okay? So Renuka Akka,
Perfect.
is it okay to share your number here? If you can share your number for everybody in the chat would be great.
Yes, sure.
Then
I'll
she's
do it
also
right away.
asking us how to join the Sattva group. Yes, Sattva is an initiative my sister Pooja has started. She roped me in, so I was her first Satyagrahi. She has not Satyagrahi, but her brother, of course. I call her my sister. She actually started this whole Sattva initiative. She brought me in and she said, why can we not do this together? And I said, okay, we'll do it together. I'm the one who keeps telling stories, so people think that this is my program. This is not my program. This is our program. So, but it was Pooja's idea. I'm delighted that she has got me into this and I'm enjoying it just as much as she is, I hope. You're also enjoying it, right, Pooja? She has given her number. So if you want to know more, you can send a message to her, WhatsApp message, or call her and she will tell you. She lives in Pune. So you can call her when it is daytime there. If you want to contact me here in the US, in the Western Hemisphere, most welcome to talk to me. I'll give my number also in the chat. Surendra Kaushik, thank you, Renuka, for this illuminating talk. You have provoked
Thank you,
many
Kaushik.
thoughts. Alternately, please use sattva.life, Pooja has told us. Then Malini, again, thank you, Sattva and Renuka ma'am, for increasing awareness and making us think of the environment, and all of us can make a difference. Wonderful. Renuka, my sister, Renuka Santa. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you, Sattva. Thank you, Renuka ji. Enlightening session. BB Tiwari has asked, told her both sundar subject hai. Sattva is an excellent initiative. Thank you, Tiwari ji. Pritam Kumar Sinha is saying, really an exemplary session. What we need is clean ground, clean food, digestive fire, clean water, clean space. Awesome session based on Panchamhabhuta principles. Thank you, Pritam ji, very much. Now, BB Tiwari is asking another question. Okay, how does Homo sapiens in this socio-cultural architecture, in this cloud of toxins, how do we have this cloud of toxins? How does one save our 8 billion humans? How can we be saved? Renuka Akka, question for you.
Together we have to work. Awareness is the key, and actionable awareness is the key. And from our own families, if we start, our friends, and enlarge the circle, we are part of this earth, we are part of this cosmos, and going on, a level by level, degree by degree, this circle, I don't want to lose hope. We cannot lose hope, and together we can, is what I feel. Let's begin at home.
Of course, I agree with you. Savita ताई आपण unmute कराल का स्वतःला? So my take on this is, if we are aware, then that awareness will lead to self-discipline. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'm eating something. Let's just say some fruit of my choice, banana. Okay, I peel the banana and I'm about to put that in my mouth. And somebody, say Renuka Akka, shouts at me, says, Vikram, don't eat it. It is laced with poison. Will I continue to eat it? I'll throw it away, isn't it? Because I know if I continue to eat that, then it will have disastrous effects. So what has changed, or what has prompted me into the right kind of action? The awareness that continuing with that action is going to lead to disaster. That's why I'm going to not do it. So we need to be aware. We need to learn about all these things. We need to learn from the experience of people like our Renuka Akka and move forward. So thank you, Renuka Akka, for enlightening us. Smile for happiness, my favorite Gmail address. Proper education is must for that. We need to start Gurukul system again, where children will get correct knowledge, so that Gurukul is at home. And before we teach our children anything, we need to be practicing that ourselves. Otherwise, how will the children learn? If we tell the child जिनका फोन आया है उनको बताओ कि मैं घर पे नहीं हूँ. तो the child will tell them, पापा ने कहा है कि वो घर पे नहीं है. So agree that Renuka Santa is saying, agree that it has to be curbed, taxed at the manufacturer level. Great, wonderful. Prashant Sasrabuddhe, I like one statement from today's talk that if that is, don't use anything which you cannot consume. And the corollary to this is try to use whatever our body produces as cure. Hey, kai karlan hai. You know, Prashant, would you like to unmute yourself and say what you want to say? Try to use whatever our body produces as cure. Okay. Unfortunately, the human body doesn't produce much that we can use for cure. Go ahead.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
Okay, go ahead.
No. I don't want to talk in public about the cures, what your body can produce or what can use. But we
Okay.
can
Yes,
talk separately.
I totally, subscribe to what you say. I may not be practicing it, but I
I'm,
do.
sometimes I practice, sometimes I don't. But there are few things which animals do. You're aware of. They
Yes,
lick
yes,
they lick their wounds.
yes. Yeah,
So just
absolutely.
example. I will not go beyond this, but
Okay, great.
today the world is
Wonderful.
the medical world is progressing towards this.
Yes, yes.
And
Saliva too, actually, so to say. But
no, because the body has all the cures. The whatever problems the atmosphere can throw at us, the body has all the cures.
yes,
One thing which I have learned, Prashantji and Renuka Akka, is if we consume only what we need, only when we need, and not consume anything more than that ever, then our body's ability to assimilate what we consume is excellent. Our body's ability to get rid of what is harmful for us is also excellent. And the products of our body are not offensive, is what I have understood. So this can be practiced by everybody. This can be experienced by everybody. I think if you can all unmute yourselves, if you are not talking, then what happens is we get the background noise from wherever you are. So if you can unmute yourselves, mute yourselves would be great. So I'm muting those who have unmuted accidentally. I'm going to go through these comments and questions also. Kirti Dattani has given us a comment. Thank you, Sattva, and thank you, Renuka ji, for this beautiful, thought-provoking presentation. We all have a part to play, and definitely kind to Mother Earth. Yes, absolutely agreed completely. I think this is Ramesh Deshpande, if I'm not wrong. Why government regulatory system is failing us when it comes to chemical pollution? Why non-governmental systems such as non-profits not able to deliver noticeable results? Wishful thinking does not take us anywhere. Human does not take us. I said, I think that's a valid comment. Renuka ji, you have any comment on that?
it's we have a long way to go as individuals. Actually, it's not activism. It's only finding ways of, dodging many hurdles that we are doing presently. It could be taken to another level, and we together, if we start at home and spread this, that mindset has to change. If government comes with certain things, there are always loopholes, and people will try to. But of course, the government and all public bodies have to participate and try to move towards it. Not that they should go scot-free, but like Vikramji said, just fining and these regulations are fantastic. For that matter, India's Wildlife Protection Act and all is exemplary, but the execution part is what is lacking. So it's a complex game. It's not as simple, but if all of us in our own areas and fields start thinking about these things and thinking about how to, for that matter, like when my daughter graduated, I told her, why don't you do some corporate thing for a few years? She's a lawyer, and then you can come to this environment when you have some money. She said, no, many species will die by the time they'll go extinct. So this kind of things, it is quite complex. And if all of us in our own domain influence people around us and try to do whatever we can, there is bound to be a change. Now we are in different continents, some of us. So in each area, if we start working, how can it not show results is what I feel.
Great. Thank you, Renuka Akka. Okay, Bibi Tiwari, next comment. Thus, universally, most humans are below the Muladhara Chakra. Muladhara Chakra is the survival instinct. So we are even below that. So we are at very base level is what he says. In some ways I agree. We need to grow up. This has led to the red spot, the need of a responsible citizen. Dear friend, yes, absolutely. We should all be responsible. Renuka Akka, thank you for giving the number for everybody.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Tiwari ji is saying, I agree with you, doctor. Consumerism of the Western world has created the oligarch with the crony greedy, hence the climate change. This is because of ignorance, Tiwari ji. You see, we have misunderstood that consumption is going to make us happy. That's not true. We need to realize, we need to understand, we need to analyze our own experience and learn from that. Surendra Kaushik, thank you for conducting this very well.
We need to engage with, people like Vikramji and, raise our consciousness through whatever means, whatever is, it is only when the world consciousness rises will things move. And I feel that time has come. I feel that time is very near, that we will all move towards higher planes is what I feel.
See, the world consciousness is dependent on my consciousness. My world is within me. This whole world is within me. I am experiencing the world within me. So if my consciousness rises, to that extent, I will see it reflected in the world. We don't have any control over raising the world consciousness. Yeah, we can have control only over our own actions and our own mind, our own body, our own life, our own world. So let's try to improve that. And Vedatai, thank you. Informative session. Archana, thank you very much. I will contact Renuka ji for some specific recipes. Great. Go ahead, do that. Manish Nangaonkar, every year my family takes one promise to become reduce one thing from the life, right? Become minimalist. We stopped packaged oil, we stopped Lysol, we stopped taking car to the office, we started home composting, we started copper vessel for structured water. Awesome. You are a role model for all of us. Thank you for sharing this. Savita Dapke, any utensil, herbal cleaner is available? I'm sure it is available. So you can talk to Renuka Akka. Manish Nangaonkar says lime and salt. Yes, you can do that. Try on copper and you will see result equal to Pitambari. Yes. All vessels, how can it be? Vinegar and bioenzymes. Yeah. So Manish, I think you can also, if you have some of these recipes, you can share with people. Neeta Agarwal says poop therapy is becoming very popular to treat liver disease in the West. See, this doesn't happen with every poop, by the way. The fecal matter has to have the right kind of microbes. Only then it works. Now, how can we maintain the right kind of fecal microbes? In our experience, we have realized that if we remain on natural diet and if we go through intermittent fasting, what does that mean? I shall eat only when I'm hungry. That's the rule, number one rule we all follow. And this is not just for food we eat. That rule applies for everything we consume. So I shall not consume anything unless I really need it. That is minimalism. If we can maintain that, then the gut microbial population remains awesome. And we are not dependent upon somebody else's poop. Our own poop will help us. So don't worry about that. And in the worst, dilute your soap to minimize use. Yes, Manish says. Bibi Tiwari has said, can I ask you? Yeah, go ahead. Tiwari ji, why don't you unmute yourself and ask a question? Are you ready now to ask a question? Malini Ramamurthy says, even soap nut or Rita. Neeta Agarwal says, we've been using our own.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Tiwari ji.
One sec.
We can hear you very well. Go ahead, please.
Sorry to hold everybody there.
No, go ahead, please. We would love to hear from you, Renuka ji. I'll request you to
Fab,
answer.
fabulous platform, Vikram, you have raised. I'm enthralled. I have a few suggestions to make additionally. I've heard Renuka ji, you and so many other 52 participants. Vikram, what is happening is that people are not together. That is the first problem, right? My years in the US, I've seen how these oligarchs are formed, especially in the food industry and others, right? So that they control the Maslow's requirement. Number one. Now, if we go back historically to our own system, which I practice, you are fairly aware of that. I have matkas in which both the ministries, I have my matkas there, and everybody says, "Arey, Pandit ji, isme kyun pee rahe ho? Aapka fridge rakha hai, etc., etc." I said, "That's the way I want." And similarly, at home, it is the same. And similarly, when I go off to my adopted villages in Uttarakhand, it is the same. Now, minimalization starts at home itself. Every human being can become responsible by doing an iota of something good towards, the environment. And personally, I think going to the religious places attains nothing. Important thing is doing Nar Seva, which is bigger than Narayan Seva, because Narayan made the Nar, in short, right? So when you are looking at existence, and if you go deeper and deeper, what happens is all the Western brands, their footprints are so bad, which flows into India. You look at every drop of water carries a certain amount of footprints. We in India have the rains coming mostly from the westerlies. So like I wrote, the whole architecture is like that. So the important thing is that you yourself contain the Brahman, right? You have one part, an iota or a 1 upon mu of that. Gradually, if you yourself evolve yourself, then all these will be, I could use the word, shied away, and you cannot get engrossed or imbibe the same. Look at the sages, whoever did all the tap in the Himalayas for every faith, right? So even if you launch today an ICBM, nothing is going to happen because the energy shield is so high. If anybody can go and look that there are only 4 red spots on Mother Earth. One is at Kedarnath, the other is at the mouth of the Ganga, third is at Dwarka, and the fourth is at Ulaanbaatar, from where Gurdjieff came. So given that scenario, we are in the best part of Mother Earth, but we are not looking at what our ancestors taught us, right? We are basically looking at what Warren Buffett is doing, what in the digital platforms, which is something which we should control to ourselves and our children. Like you have rightly given the example. Why can't schools, for example, like I did in Delhi on the Responsible Citizen, I took the kids from one of the biggest public schools in South Delhi to villages. Now, in a village, if they go, it's not the situation like in the US. Oh, mom, that is a cow, which you see in a zoo, right? So they saw the goat, they saw the cow, they saw the basic farm animals. So then, obviously, they got a little elated. And then we made the eco clubs here for water, for this, for that, as a part of the responsible citizen movement. Now, I think every individual should take up that minimum responsibility of being a responsible citizen in whatever SOPs they do, whether a teacher, whether a techno bureaucrat like me, etc., etc. And then it goes on. It's only adopting. No? That's it. That's all.
Absolutely. So the bottom line is basically we all have to fulfill our own responsibilities towards Mother Earth,
Correct.
towards the society, towards each other, towards ourselves too. So our responsibility towards the environment is fulfilled by being minimalist. So when we
True.
consume only what we need from the environment and give out as much as we can in terms of service, as you said, correctly said, service to Nara rather than Narayana, because Nara itself is Narayana. If we
Correct.
can see Narayana in the Nara, our Karma Yoga will be complete. So thank you so much for giving us your thoughts, your insights. Very delighted. Renuka Akka, you have any final thoughts before we conclude here?
Let us work together, raise awareness, raise consciousness together, and be together. Thanks all for listening in.
Thank you very much, Renuka Akka. We are delighted you spent more than an hour, all of you, with us listening to Renuka Akka. Thank you for your wisdom. We'll see you again in the next few weeks. Until then, have a wonderful time. Goodbye.